Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today we have a great episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. If you can tell, I think we haven't done this for a few weeks, but we are back here with one more episode before we take a little break. Just some changes in Jacob and my life. And so we are here not with more Star Wars Rebels, season 22 of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Will resume in mid to late September. It will resume. But for today, we are here with a special episode, the 6th of its kind, Star Wars Opinions. I believe we did 2 or 3 live at Force Fest. That was a fun time when we did that. But today, it's just Jacob and I, the two of us. We've brought 5 Star Wars opinion-based questions that we're going to ask each other, and we're going to talk about Star Wars and its future, its past, its present, whatever it may be. So, Jacob, you ready to get started on this?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Would you mind going ahead with your first question?
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Eli. And I've asked this question. We've asked this question, I think, about everything, movies, TV shows. But I want to ask you if you could direct, I guess, I'll call it direct. If you could direct any Star Wars video game, the video game of your dreams, with any focus, any type of game, any genre, any era, any characters, what would you do? What would you want to see?
So, couple answers for this. I first want to use this idea, because we're talking about video games, to plug a friend of ours who is answering this exact question in a video essay he will be posting to his YouTube channel very soon. Good friend of the show, Jared the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs.
Oh yeah, shout out Jared.
Jared is doing a video essay on a video game that he would like to see in Star Wars, and I'm not going to give too much away, but it is a fighting game.
Of course.
And he is having all this stuff made for it. It's going to look great. I highly recommend all our listeners to the show check it out when it comes out. I don't know when that is, because Jared's life is very busy right now, and I just don't know. But when it does, I think it will be spectacular. For me, I've talked about this a lot, I feel like, but I would love an RPG, but it's the Skywalker saga. So, let's get some interpretation. It'll get all the Star Wars what if questions that everybody's always asking about. When are we gonna get a Star Wars what if? What about Star Wars what if style like Marvel does? Blah, blah, blah. We can get some of that out of the way. We're already getting a little bit out of the way with Rebuild the Galaxy, but I understand that that's not really akin to what if. I really think of it as more akin to a very much goofier version of Into the Spider-Verse. But either way, yeah, let's do a KOTOR style RPG where you play through the Skywalker saga. And you can make all these decisions. What if Luke and Obi-Wan decided not to go with Han and Chewbacca? They decided to find a different freighter. What if Anakin said no to Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith? What if Rey took Kylo Ren's hand in Last Jedi? I don't know how the mechanics of that would work. I'm not a game designer, and I understand it'd be difficult, especially because with RPGs, you're usually following one character, and the saga films follow many different characters, and I understand that would be challenging to do, but I think if gotten right, I think it could be something truly extraordinary.
Yeah. I mean, I think sort of the challenge and opportunity there is that on the one hand, what we're describing is sort of these big moments where it's sort of almost binary. Like, she doesn't take Kylo Ren's hand? What if she does? What if Rey does? Whereas in a game, I feel like to have a game feel really fun to play in the role playing in the RPG sort of genre, it's the story is the sum and the cascading effect of many decisions. So I feel like from a player perspective, there's even more opportunity than just a what if. We're saying, what if we're pulling this big lever to make something really big different? There's just many opportunities for you
to play your way through the Skywalker saga, which is something
ideas end up in radically different conclusions. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, and to play your way through the Skywalker saga, which has been done, but only in, count them, one video game since the Skywalker saga ended. That was now 6 years ago. And you would have thought it would be more than one. Like back in the day, they had so many tie-in video games for Revenge of the Sith when everybody thought that would be the end. But we've gotten one Star Wars video game related to the Skywalker saga since 2019 when The Rise of Skywalker released, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
What about you?
So for me, I think I have a couple of different ideas, but I would love a game set in. It could be set in the kind of the Twilight of the Republic and prequel era. It would span many years, or maybe even the New Jedi Order era. But I would love a game. It would be like a single player, like you could play with your friends alongside one another, but really a single player sort of story focused game following the journey of a youngling being brought up in the Jedi Order, and you're playing through all the different steps and milestones and trials in development of trying to become a great Jedi Master, and deciding what you're going to study, what powers you're going to try and get, learning the ways of the Force, going on missions, uncovering mysteries, secrets of the Force, old Jedi history, temples across planets, eventually taking on your own Jedi apprentice. I think that could be pretty fun. I think I'm imagining sort of a big, beautiful game map wise, sort of like Jedi Survivor, where you're just that immersive single player feel of just beautiful environments and lots of different paths to take and things to interact with.
I never thought so. I've had an idea similar to this, not in video game format, of like, what if we were to, and I had this thought originated with Young Jedi Adventures. What if we followed Kai, Liss, and Nubs? We know them as 7-year-olds. Like, what if we were to follow them through different points in media until they are Jedi Masters? Like, how cool would that be? And I had never considered doing the whole thing or even any part of the thing in a video game. And that really opens up some interesting ideas. I like where you're going with this. There's a whole lot of stuff that I think is really interesting. Yeah. I understand why you'd want to, obviously, if you wanted to do it with a Jedi, not with a Jedi Order behind them, you have the Jedi trilogy, but I understand why the idea of doing it with an order behind them. And yeah, something like that during maybe the High Republic era, something like that during maybe between the High Republic era and the Twilight of the Jedi era, or the New Jedi Order. Have Rey there. Do a new, like, the game you're describing sounds pretty close, sounds like a bigger version, a bigger, wider, and more expansive version of the Jedi Academy, which is an old Legends game with Kyle Katarn.
Something along that sort of a starting
more expansive and more, something that today's games would dream of doing, a galaxy spanning adventure or something like that. No, I can absolutely see the vision behind that.
I'm very interested in the idea of sort of creating the players, kind of creating their characters and molding their journeys, but then seeing that borne out across years and years and years and years and years in the story, and seeing that reflected in the gameplay. I think that's something that sort of interests me as a different way to explore the life of a Jedi and sort of what it means to be a Jedi and how to see that story.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you want me to go with my next question?
Let's do it, yeah.
My first question. We've done so many versions of this question, so I figured I'd give it a twist. Quite literally, actually. What is your most anticipated Star Wars project? And you have to plan a twist for it. I can go first if you need a little time to think about this.
Yeah, go for it.
So I actually figured out, I don't know, I think I was in the shower one day when I figured out this twist, which the twist provided me, I should do the question. But this is not even my most anticipated Star Wars project. It's my second most anticipated Star Wars project. My most anticipated Star Wars project is the New Jedi Order film.
Yeah.
However, if we're talking about the most anticipated Star Wars project that is currently in production, then that's Ahsoka Season 2. And it is my second most anticipated one. And so I had this idea for the Ahsoka season 2 twist. So all along season 1, everybody's had questions about one character in specific. And surprisingly, that character is not even the title character. That character is none other than Balin Skull, played by the late, great Ray Stevenson.
Yes.
Who the Game of Thrones Hot Fuzz actor Rory McCann will be taking over the role in season 2. And I'm sure he is focused on nothing more than doing justice to what Ray Stevenson put down with that character, which was brilliant. All along season 1, Balin Skull has been very cryptic. He's been looking for something. What it is, we still don't really know. We have some hints. It's connected to Mortis, probably. It's on Peridia, we think. He thinks it will, like, give him the chance to start over, give the galaxy a chance to start over, break the cycle, power such of which you never dreamed of. This is the land of dreams and madness. I'm just quoting the show now. And what if he couldn't have it? What if he talked to Shin so much about, I've trained you not like a Jedi, but to be something more. Has the orange lightsaber, which is he's maybe using the dark side, but maybe not fully Sith. We don't exactly know where his alignment is. It seems just in the pursuit of this goal. But what if whatever Force judgment of it all deems that he is not worthy of accessing said power? And what would he do if the thing he's been chasing all this time brought the Empire back to the galaxy for? What would he do if it was all for nothing? And maybe and I've heard a lot of things, a lot of people talking about what if it's Abeloth and stuff like that. But, like, what if that's another thing? Like, what if it is the thing he's looking for is Abeloth, and then Abeloth does something that he doesn't want her to do? It's all under the same general umbrella, which is the thing that he's been chasing this whole time. What if it doesn't go the way he wants it to? It's kind of like, there's a character in Skeleton Crew that I'm thinking of, which I assume you haven't watched yet, but that's fine. But there's a character that in Skeleton Crew that finds himself in the same position that I'm imagining Jod would, and we don't know what he will do next because he finds himself in that position at the end of the season. It's just fascinating to think about that. As somebody who's got, like, again, Balin has gotten so cynical about the galaxy, about the cycle of war and stuff like that. And he wants to do a giant restart. And what if he can't? And what if it's denied to him?
That could be, that could be very, very fruitful. I think, obviously, Balin's a character who made an impression on a lot of people, including me. And I think that could be a very, very, very promising direction to go in. Kind of finish this story.
Yeah.
So,
and here's my thing with this, actually. Okay, if you need more time, we can come back to this.
I mean, I might as well. I'm not going to be able to think it through while I'm trying to do these other things.
Yeah,
and
no problem. Yeah,
I mean, coming up with a twist is difficult for me because, obviously, we don't know what there's so much unknown. But I will say, I think of all the projects that we have, and I just looked at a list of them to sort of refresh myself. The one that I'm maybe the most interested in, cautiously very excited about, but also cautiously so, is probably the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi film.
Big Jim Mangold, as Ken Napzok says. Big Jim Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi.
It's described as a biblical epic of the first
Ten
Jedi.
Commandments-esque.
It's being written by Bo Willimon, who wrote 6 episodes of Andor as well.
Bo Willman and James Mangold, yeah, both of them.
And I don't know. I think, I mean, I immediately see that and I go, oh shit, that's gonna be really cool. But I feel like it is also one of those things that could seem cooler in our heads. I feel like it doesn't even take bad writing or directing, which I don't think it will have, to be a big, I don't know, to because it's going right to the heart of the Jedi and maybe potentially the Sith and the Force. But then
You can
again,
do
I
any number
mean,
of things with that,
yeah,
yeah.
but then again, I mean, I don't think 7 years ago, however it was when we found out, I don't think anyone had Andor at the top of their list who ended up loving that show so much like I did. I definitely didn't really. If you told me that Andor was going to be the show from this sort of wave these past few years of all the Star Wars goodness that we've gotten, if you told me that was going to be the one that I'm obsessing over the most, I would have laughed at you. So yeah, I'm willing to I'm willing to take it as it comes. But I think if we're talking about the origins of the Force, or people's relationship to the Force, I think, I don't know. There are some really interesting opportunities. We know about the Ashla, the Bogan, the Bendu. What if the Ashla and Bogan are personifications, or beings that manifest themselves to people the same way that the Bendu was in Star Wars,
Like,
Rebels
you
on
mean like the
Adult.
father, like the son and
Yeah.
daughter?
Potentially, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
another possibility. Like Kanan and the Bendu, like I don't know, something like I think that,
The force manifestations are your twist, is that the force is that they're going to be characters that manifest, that are revealed to be manifestations of the force.
yeah, yeah, maybe something
That's
like that.
interesting. That's really interesting.
I'll go with that one. I'll go with that. Yeah.
My mind goes to a whole bunch of different things. The Yeah, no, I think there's so many, yeah, and James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi film. I've seen 3 James Mangold films, and all of them I at least liked. 2 of them I loved. The Wolverine was very good, although not quite my thing. Logan wouldn't have been either, but it was just so well made that I couldn't deny the
Mm.
genius behind it. And then Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I know there are some complicated feelings about that movie, but I loved it. I thought it was a great send off to that franchise, even though my biggest problem with it, honestly, is that it was a send off that I'd love more Indiana Jones stuff. But still, it was a remarkable job done by Mangold. The twist at the very end of that movie was bonkers, and it was great. I loved every second of it, and it swung for the fences, but it really, like, the ball went way over the fences, in my opinion. It was just executed so well and made perfect sense. But yeah, no, that movie, I think, yeah, Jim Mangold and Bo Williman, again, wrote some of my favorite episodes of Andor, and I'm very confident in his ability to write Star Wars. I'm interested to see what he does with the mystical side. He's almost all Star Wars that he's written has been the more down to earth and gritty side of it. But it's not to say I don't think he could do it. I'm just saying I'm interested to see exactly how that goes. But James Mangold seems like a really cool guy and makes great movies. So yeah, no, I think that that's a really, there's something really great there. Hopefully, when it gets done, I think. I'm trying to think, because James Mangold's a busy guy. He's a popular director. I know he's
Yeah.
working on a Swamp Thing movie for James Gunn's new DCU. What else is he doing? Yeah. Oh, he's doing and he was just announced literally last month for a film with Timothy Chalamet called High Side. But yeah, so but if I had to guess, I think maybe Dawn of the Jedi will come by like 28, 29, maybe.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It depends on which takes
Yeah.
priority
It
for
doesn't give a
Dawn
specific.
of the Jedi or
Yeah.
Swamp Thing.
Yeah. I think right now the furthest out confirmed date is Starfighter in
For
May
27.
2027.
Yeah.
So,
And we'll get to that with one of my questions, but let's go to your second question.
all right. My second question. Wow, back to me. Okay, gosh, which one should I do right now? Okay, maybe a little bit of a quicker one. Who is, in your opinion, the most sympathetic villain in Star Wars, or the villain that you can empathize with the most on some level, whether it's like maybe like an argument that they're making, or something that they're trying to change, where you're like, okay, maybe they have a point, or whether it's just their emotional journey or their story. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting question. My answer is I think it's gonna have to be Crosshair. And I know
Mm,
he's not a villain all of the time, but as somebody who I have struggled with OCD in the past and various voices in your head telling you what to do, the refrain of good soldiers follow orders and stuff like that,
yeah.
like, yeah, that rings a bell.
Mm,
Now, do I personally think I would join a fascist empire? No, I don't. I think I'd have more common sense than that. But then again, at the beginning, it wasn't Crosshair's choice. He made the choice to stay, and that was a really bad decision, and it cost him. But that's all it was. It was a bad decision that he made. And I'm certainly not defending him. I'm just saying that I think that there is a lot. Crosshair has a lot of nuance within his character that I think I really appreciated, and makes some of his episodes, especially in season 2 of The Bad Batch, just really pop. Yeah, I think my answer is Crosshair.
mm. Okay.
What about you?
That's a good answer. It's a good answer. For me, I think, I mean, there's a lot of people that you can pick, but I think Asajj Ventress for me. I mean, her
Okay, thank God.
story is just from start to finish. It's just, I mean, she's taken away from the Night Sisters, saved by I'm blanking on his name.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Kyneric.
Saved
Kyneric.
by Kyneric, but they're trapped on the planet, and then he's killed, and she becomes sort of a local legend in the battle arenas, only to be taken on by Count Dooku and suffer sort of
Yeah.
untold suffering just in the nature of the dark side,
Yeah,
and
Ventress
what
was
that does to
robbed in a
you. I
lot of
mean,
ways.
we see what Dooku does to Savage. We can only assume. Then Dooku betrays her. Palpatine betrays her. She goes back to the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters get completely wiped out, and in spite of all of this, she manages to not fully succumb to the dark side and have that be the defining end of her life when
And then
she
dies
becomes a
and
bounty
then
hunter.
come back to
She,
life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think, I mean, she just gets dealt a unbelievably shitty hand at every possible turn, and
Yeah,
she's someone that I
she
she's a
still keeps
character that you
going.
just got to feel for Ventress.
I the Tales of the Underworld shorts, which I also assume you haven't seen yet, but they're great. I think they're great. They're I think they're a bridge to maybe more stuff in Maul Shadow Lord for her, possibly. But no, they're real. There's some really good stuff with her in Tales of the Underworld, and yeah, I've appreciated Ventress a lot more as a character since her coming back in the Bad Batch. I never really got her, and I'm still not a huge fan, but I think I understand her a little bit more. Yeah, no, good choice. All right. Star Wars fans, one of the things we love is behind the scenes. I once heard somebody say, and I don't remember, I'd shout this person out, but I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been a friend of the show, Alden Diaz, when I think he said like Star Wars was like the first franchise to make the behind the scenes people like their own celebrities through through the documentaries, through Empire Dreams, through the beginning, through what have you, Director and the Jedi, make people like John Knoll and Dennis Muren and Ben Burt like stars. And there have been quite a few Star Wars documentaries released for Disney Plus. And if there was a new Star Wars documentary, I think it would be released through Disney Plus. What
Yeah,
they've done all the Disney galleries, the light and magic stuff. They did the music by John Williams one.
yeah.
What do you think should be the next Star Wars behind the scenes documentary released?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, I think that that's a really good question. There's so many that I feel like everyone would love to see. I would like a documentary that kind of goes over, and I don't know all of the documentaries. I don't think I've seen all of the Disney Plus and the various documentaries. So if this kind of I might just be ignorant if this bleeds into or overlaps with existing documentaries that we do have, but I would really like to see a documentary sort of telling the story of how the Clone Wars and then Rebels and the animated shows under Dave Filoni, how those came together, like how he became it was picked by George Lucas and their relationship, and
There have
then
been there have
you
been
know
special features and
yeah
documentaries about TCW especially, but a
yeah
full story about the beginning of Lucas film animation has not been done, and I
yeah
think that's a
like
really
that's
great idea.
really like the full story, and then going into, and then after he sort of there, and then after that when the projects branch out even further, like beyond
Yeah.
Rebels, once
I
you have
wonder
Resistance on the one hand and then Bad Batch especially,
I wonder
the
if
Clone
in a
Wars
few
saved. I really season 7 of the
yeah.
Clone Wars, I think they could really go into that, because that's got to be a really
I
amazing story of how
imagine
they got the whole
if
band
one is
back
made
together sort of.
if this is made, I imagine we may have to wait a little bit while longer because Lucasfilm Anniversary just celebrated a prime anniversary for them, which was 20 years. This is 20
Hmm.
years of Lucasfilm Animation. And
Yeah.
I imagine if they were to do this, 25 would be a good time, which would mean waiting until 2030. But by then, imagine how many more stories from animation we'll have. We'll have more tales. We'll have Maul Shadow Lord. We'll have maybe other shows. Who knows? But yeah, no, I can only imagine what a Lucasfilm animation documentary would be. I think that'd be really interesting. I'd love to see more footage from TCW and Rebels, and then TCW again, and then Bad Batch and Maul Shadow Lord and Resistance and Young Jedi Adventures and Visions and all the tales of. Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Honestly, Lucasfilm Animation, the story, whatever you want to call it. So I think this must have been a Disney thing. I think it's a Disney thing because both Marvel and Star Wars' documentary series, Marvel Assembled as they call it, and Disney Gallery for Star Wars, for some reason they didn't bring the Disney Gallery over to Marvel. They just kind of stopped.
Hmm.
Marvel stopped halfway into Phase 5, and Star Wars I don't think has done a new Disney Gallery since Obi-Wan Kenobi. For some reason, and I understand there are special features on the physical releases of shows like Ahsoka, but I still don't think it's exactly the same. They're not available on Disney Plus. They're not the same thing. The physical media isn't what it once was. So Disney Gallery, and I'm never gonna stop harping on this show. Not harping on this show, but like harping about how much I love this show. Disney Gallery for the Acolyte. I'd love to see like with the expansive sets. With every time I hear Leslie Headland talk about Star Wars, I'm convinced that she was robbed with the Acolyte after having it canceled. I love that. I love listening to her talk about Star Wars. I love the Star Wars she made, and to see more of the process of the Acolyte, to see like the filming of scenes like the slaughter at the beginning of Night, or the final battle on Brendok, or any of the flashbacks on Brendok in episodes 3 and 7, to get peeks at that stuff, to spend more time with Mandela Stenberg and Daphne Keene and Manny Jacinto and Legion J, I think would be great. So Disney Gallery, The Acolyte, and also hashtag Save the Acolyte. So yeah.
Yeah,
I, I,
absolutely.
I quite enjoyed that show.
I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Yeah.
All right. Question number 3, Jacob.
All right. Question number 3. Now this is a bit of a more free form question, because it can take a couple of forms. If you could change one aspect of Star Wars canon continuity, like add something in, delete something, change or tweak something, or maybe bring in something from Legends to canon, delete something out of canon, that you think would make some part of the Star Wars story work better in your mind, what would it be and why? And I can go first if you need
Yeah,
like an
go
example.
ahead, because like I'm still trying to determine things, because I'm
yeah
just gonna say, I've written some Star Wars fan fiction, I've written some treatments, I did
yeah
my
yeah yeah.
Boba Fett treatment, so like if you ask me, I'm like, I'd love my Book of Boba Fett treatment to,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
go ahead with
you
yours.
could tell us about that if you want.
No, I have an idea.
Okay.
Generally, go with yours
So I
though.
think my example for what I mean by this is, for example, I think that the story would be better, and I understand that this is sort of gilding a lily in a sense, because the stories that we got surrounding this, I do think are pretty phenomenal, all in all. But I don't think that inhibitor chips are necessary, and I would have liked Star Wars to stay without inhibitor chips the way that it was when Order 66 first happened in Revenge of the Sith, and there was none of the clones. You didn't have a choice in the matter. Obviously, I understand why they were added in with the Clone Wars, especially with a show geared a bit more towards kids. It just like it makes it a little bit easier to explain. And we got some absolutely amazing stories. Order 66 arc, the Clone Wars shattered, obviously, with the Bad Batch as well. But I really think that, all in all, I think the clones' betrayal of the Jedi would just hit harder without the inhibitor chips. I think it would underscore and make sense with how blinded the Jedi were, what a mistake it was for them to become warriors, to lead these troops, and how they truly were just like completely outmaneuvered and had the wool pulled over their eyes by Palpatine. I think it underscores the power of brainwashing and dehumanization of the clones and against the Jedi. The majority of clones didn't actually have a lot of contact with the Jedi outside of the elite troops, the recurring figures, Rex, Cody, even people like Boyle and
The
Waxer.
captains and commanders.
Yeah, the captains and commanders and the elite troops. That's a small sliver of the actual massive clone army. I think a lot of the Jedi generals were somewhere in the middle of the Plo Koons of the galaxy and the Pong Krells of the galaxy. Plo Koon, who were just clones, were meant to be expendable. Not to me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to save each and every one
Well,
of you.
maybe let's not include Pong Krell in that, because Pong
Yeah,
Krell has some other issues.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like Pong Krell on the other end of that being just like, I actually fucking hate clones, and I specifically like want to make you all miserable and suffer. Most of the Jedi are like in the middle of that, somewhere in between that. Someone like
They're pretty
Luminara
indifferent.
and Julie, they're kind of indifferent, and I think that a lot of the Jedi ideals, they can seem really like the Martez sisters talking about their interactions with Luminara, for example. Like, she is a great Jedi, but the Jedi ideals and the Jedi outlook on life can feel really, really callous and
And especially by
lacking
the
compassion to people who aren't like a part of that. You know what I mean? And I think
by the
that,
time of the Clone Wars, obviously the corruption of the
yeah,
Jedi and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
And even Jedi who act like really heroically, lead from the front, like Anakin, Ahsoka, people who we see over and over again in the Clone Wars, they incur the resentment of their troops possibly by constantly using like insane tactics and leading the clones into unbelievably crazy situations where the clones have super high casualties because they can't keep up with like literal force powered super warriors.
Yep.
I think and there are instances where clones like Plo Koon and Rex with Ahsoka, there are certain clones who had never turned on the Jedi they knew. But I think there would be far more rank and file clones who may not have had much experience fighting alongside or getting to know the Jedi. And for those clones, for the vast majority of clones, the constant conditioning of good soldiers follow orders and the political propaganda and the media inundation of being told the Jedi betrayed the Republic, being told that the Jedi are a threat, when the Jedi are already looked on with fear and suspicion by so many people, I think that would have spoken far louder. And I think it is like completely plausible to say that this pretty much could have happened. You could easily explain how this happens, make a very compelling story for how this happens without the inhibitor chips. So I think just overall it would have made a deeper and more tragic story between the Jedi and clones, and I, to me, it just is that much more compelling. Again, this is sort of splitting hairs because the stories we got are like pretty damn incredible.
And I also would say that they
anyways.
also kind of softened it up a little bit, because you can still have a little bit of that interpretation with the fact that we know inhibitor chips wear off now.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of
we
these
got,
very interesting
which is
stories
not,
as well.
But I just want to say, which is not what we got in the beginning. Like we thought after season 6, we thought, okay, inhibitor chips locked and they're bad forever. No. They can still choose differently, and we've seen that constantly again. And and quite a few do, but the vast majority still don't. And so I think you can, and I'm not trying to say your idea is invalid because I think you make a lot of good points, but like, I still think you can have a little bit of that narrative in your head because the vast majority of the clones, I would say above 90% of the clones, after the inhibitor chips effects wear off, still decide not to still don't regret what they've done, still are loyal to the Empire, still
or even if they regret what they've done, not enough to try and desert,
not enough
or
to try to change,
rebel, or try and I mean there was a comic that I read a few years ago, I can't remember, I think it maybe was maybe some of the Kanan comics out, because they do delve into this exact issue, and we do have clones dealing with their guilt and
I think it is Kanan, the
and
last
anguish Padawan in the wake of realizing what they did. And I think some of the clones even sacrificed their own lives, sort of kamikaze style, against some of the other Imperial forces when they sort of make up their minds about what happened. So you have a very good point as well. Like, we do get a lot of what I'm saying, we do get that as well.
Yeah. And I understand your dislike for the inhibitor chips. I don't
dislike the inhibitor chips. I just kind of think the story could be better without them. I don't dislike them. I think it was.
And I understand
I don't think it's at all that badly.
Yeah, I understand that.
I think the inhibitor chips aren't which they easily could have been. They've been handled a lot better than becoming some really kind of clunky ex machina where everyone rolls their eyes. Like, it is handled graciously.
Yeah, with gravitas.
So I don't really have anything negative to say about it. That's not the point I was trying to make, just to be clear.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah, no, I know you do.
All right. So, other than recanonizing some major stories that I love from Legends, like the Bounty Hunter video game, or especially the Bane trilogy from Drew Karpyshyn, which I love.
Oh, those books kick ass.
Other than that, I dearly love the sequel trilogy. I want to say that from the beginning, and this is so nitpicky, and I understand that. When Rian Johnson announced that Last Jedi was going to take place directly following The Force Awakens, I was like, okay, that's an interesting move, and I think I love that film dearly, and I think that it benefits from continuing the story exactly where we left off in The Force Awakens. But that meant that 9, which then we learned was, of course, going to be another JJ film, wouldn't have to have a time jump. And they did a time jump. But come on, 1 year, amateur numbers. I would have liked a 3 or 4 year gap between episodes 8 and 9, just to more fully substantiate that sequel era. I would have liked for, instead of 35, for the sequel, for The Rise of Skywalker to take place in 38 or 39 or maybe even 40 ABY. I think that would have given expanded media writers like video games and comics and books more room to write stories in the sequel era. I think it would have. I actually think that The Rise of Skywalker doesn't even need to change at all, if like that much, if at all, for this to work. I just wish that there would have been a little bit bigger of a time gap. And again, I say this, loving The Rise of Skywalker, love that movie, my second favorite Star Wars movie, dearly. I just wish that we would have had a little bit more of a time gap.
Yeah, I think you make a compelling case. There are a lot of great possibilities that could have been explored had there been different decisions made in that regard.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my thing.
Okay.
The third question.
Okay.
I got my third question. You ready to move on to the?
All right, yeah, let's do it.
This might require a little bit of assembling on your part, and I understand if you need a minute for this one.
Okay.
What are your top 5 episodes of Star Wars live action television?
Top 5 episodes.
Top
Just
five
straight
episodes,
up
live
episodes
action.
across.
Yep, across
Oh,
all
jeez. Oh,
5
gosh.
television shows, 6 television shows. How many
Oh,
of them
man.
are there?
Okay.
There are 7 television shows.
Okay.
We'll do them rapid fire, and then we'll talk about our lists.
All right.
Does that
Yeah.
sound good?
Yeah, sure.
And by the way, I'll post in the description, but I have my ranking of all of the live action episodes of Star Wars television of how I put all of them. So you can check out my ranking if you want. It's just a Google Doc. All right, honorable mention number 1, Jacob.
Honorable mention number 1, I have Ahsoka Part 6, Far, Far Away.
Really, honorable mention number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Honorable mention number 1, Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, From the Desert Comes a Stranger.
All right. Very, very, very good episode. My honorable mention number 2 is Kenobi Part 6. That's the finale.
My honorable mention number 2 is Part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All right, nice. My number 5 is The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 7, The Reckoning.
My number 5 is Part 8 of Ahsoka, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Number 4, I have The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 8, The Rescue.
Number 4, I have Part 5 of Ahsoka, Shadow Warrior.
Okay. At number 3, I have One Way Out from Andor Season 1.
At number 3, I have Part 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
At number 2, I have Nobody's Listening from Andor Season 1.
At number 2, I have Part 6 of Ahsoka, Far, Far Away.
Number 1, I have Rick's Road, also from Andor.
At number 1, I have Part 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Nice. Hey, we at least we agree on something.
When I heard your first 2, so Jacob was just figuring it out now. Small, short break while Jacob was figuring it out, and he said my top 2. I'm like, wow, our lists are going to be quite different, are quite similar. And then I heard, oh, they're in honorable mentions. Okay, yeah. No, mine shouldn't be shocking to anybody. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka. Those 2 shows are very near and dear to my heart, and that the part 5 and 6 for me really sticks to landing, and the run from 4 to 8 of Ahsoka really just also is just spectacular. I think you'll be when you get onto season 2 of Andor, I think you'll be really pleased. Some of my favorite episodes of Andor are from its second season, although I still think the Narkina 5 arc is the best that Andor has done. Although it's pretty close between that and the third arc of season 2, which are all really great stuff. Yeah. No, I expected some Andor up high for you. I'm surprised that Rick's Road is the best.
And I was just going based off my ranking that I had from our retrospective, and I think I did say that Rick's Road was my favorite, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It always goes back and forth for me. Like a couple of the Narkina, maybe Narkina 5 or One Way Out, but like Narkina, I'm always even some of the Aldani episodes. Like I'm always for whatever show, I'm always in flux. I can never fully decide on my favorite in general.
Yeah, no, there's so much great stuff in Star Wars television, live action stuff, and I'm excited to see what you think of Andor Season 2 and of Skeleton Crew, which is a delightful show that I think I'm not as keen on Skeleton Crew as a lot of people are, but there were some life complications happening during the time Skeleton Crew came out, so I'm not sure if I was able to appreciate it as fully as I wanted to.
I see.
But yeah, question number 4, Jacob.
Question number 4. Oh, I lost spot in my list. Okay. I have a few more than I thought I did. Okay. I think I already did that one. Okay. If you could make a Marvel style what if story about one event that tips the other way, what would it be and why?
Can I still have Jeffrey Wright narrating it? I want Jeffrey Wright as a watcher.
You can have Jeffrey Wright narrating it. Yeah.
I'm joking. I don't want that. I love Jeffrey Wright as a watcher, but I don't want him narrating it. God, I joked about this being such a ass question, and then here it is. God. I mean, instant answer right now is still, I think, probably what if Anakin, like I really like the idea of like, what if Anakin said no to Palpatine, but like he didn't kill him, like Palpatine managed to get away somehow.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because you have to imagine Palpatine would have contingency plans. You just
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, of course.
And but they're contingency plans for a reason. They're not the main plans. So with a weakened but still resolved Jedi Order, with maybe Order 66 still does happen, but who knows how successful it is. Palpatine won't be able to, I believe, with Darth Vader not on his side, establish as firm of an empire. So I'm interested to see like the kind of like weird Cold War galactic political tension that would come to.
Yeah, that's a really cool interpretation of what would happen that you have.
And
I like that a lot.
and I think that'd be really, really interesting. I'm trying to think of if there's a different one. Actually, yeah, I'll do this one. What if Kylo Ren actually did kill his mother? What if he like and even let's say the Praetorian Guard fight goes down the same way. Like, what happens? Well, yeah, let's say Last Jedi happens the same way, but the only difference is that Kylo Ren actually does pull the trigger and kills Leia. Then what? Then what for? I also would we have to change some things with the movie because Leia's absence also affects stuff for the Resistance as well.
It has knock-on effects, yeah,
but yeah, no, I'm interested to see what like if Kylo's redemption would be that much harder.
Yeah.
If he'd regret it, how Rey would continue her training with no Jedi Master instead of Leia as we got in Rise of Skywalker. I think that'd be really interesting. What's yours though?
So mine is, what if in the finale of Rebels, Ezra is encountering through force visions in the world between worlds, he is facing against Sidious, and my what if is, what if Ezra succumbs to Palpatine's temptations, his illusions, the visions that he gives Ezra of being able to be reunited with his parents.
What if he changes it?
Yeah,
what if he changes it?
What if he tries to join him and change the past?
Well, what's difficult about that is we don't know how real that all was.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and more importantly, I think my idea is just, what does Dark Ezra look like? How different would this be than Dark Ezra if he like joined Maul in steps in this season 3? What does Dark Ezra look like? Does Palpatine try and unleash Ezra on Ahsoka? Does this change his plans for Vader? We know that he wanted to replace the blue. Like
Ezra even on the dark side.
Yeah, would he just like somehow ensnare him and just kill him straight up? Like, I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, what happens
assuming he doesn't do that, because that's not terrifically interesting in my opinion. But assuming that Ezra succumbs and falls under Palpatine's sway, who does he become and what does he do and how does that affect the course of
become an Inquisitor?
Events.
Yeah,
Lothal is never freed. Where does Hera go? What happens to the rest of the crew?
What happens to Ahsoka?
Even going further, further even forward, as he never takes Thrawn with him. So the entire events of the
Thrawn
Ahsoka
is
show,
a presence in the galaxy.
When it happened, he would be, would the Empire even fall if Thrawn was still there?
Yeah,
if Thrawn could say that he defeated the rebels on Lothal.
Yeah, no, that's
looking kind of bleak for the rebels if that happens. Jeez.
Yeah.
Good thing
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I think it would be interesting.
That'd be crazy.
Pretty interesting.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Should I go to my number 4 now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this is kind of similar to a previous question, but kind of a little bit different because these are things that are happening a little bit sooner, and I want you to think crazy, okay? I want you to think crazy for these.
Okay, let's think crazy.
I have 3 Star Wars properties that are coming to us in the near future. These 3 pieces of Star Wars media that are coming to us in the near future.
Okay.
And I want you to make out of left field, buck wild predictions for all of them. And I have them for all of them.
Okay.
The first one is Maul Shadow Lord.
Maul Shadow Lord.
What's the craziest thing you could, like, a deep cut, an unexpected character, a twist, a, like, format thing, a voice acting thing,
Oh gosh.
like...
Maul. So this is Maul in between the events of the
This is
Clone
Maul a
Wars,
year
and what's the other
after...
bookend? Yeah.
This is a
Oh my
Maul a
gosh.
year after
Okay.
Sith, and I assume the bookend will, like, we probably
Okay.
won't
Yeah. Yeah.
see anything, like, past Solo, but I don't know.
Okay. Maul saves young Kanan from the Empire, and that's why he knows his name is Caleb Doom in Rebels. That's my batshit out of left field prediction.
That'd be wild.
I would
That'd be
low-key
wild.
I would low-key think that would be interesting. That's I
Yeah.
don't know. I like that. You can't get crazier than that, I think.
Mine actually is kind of the opposite. Mine is, so in the Maul Shadow Lord leaked trailer that I have not seen, in a leaked trailer that, again, I have not seen, Maul seems to be recruiting a young Twi'lek to be an apprentice of his. I do not think that this Twi'lek will become Darth Talon, but, like, I think the spirit is there, again, in this trailer that I have not seen. I think it'd be interesting is what I think would be interesting is if this apprentice from the trailer, which again I have not seen, starts, like, what if she sees what Maul's doing and then's like, well, wait, they're just other people trying to take down the Empire in a much more straightforward way. And then she starts funneling Crimson Dawn resources into a rebel cell, maybe Saw, maybe another rebel cell. And then Maul discovers this and is like, this is not cool. I'm going to kill you. And then he does. I think that'd be pretty crazy. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's crazy. My second one, there are 3 of these. My second one is Jedi 3. Make a crazy field for Jedi 3. The sequel to Survivor.
Jedi 3. Oh man. Okay. Crazy.
Literally all we know is that there will be one and it will be the end.
Cal and Marin get a divorce. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. No. That would...
I know so many people who would be so pissed at that.
I heard a million geeks cry out in agony, and we're suddenly silenced. No, let's be serious for a second. Gosh, I don't even know how did Survivor end? Like I've literally played it with you, and I can't remember.
With Bode's funeral on Tanalorr, they got to
Tanalorr.
Tanalorr. They found Tanalorr. They killed Bode.
Bode Akuna, the betrayal of Bode Akuna. Okay, yeah, it's coming back to me now. Okay, I'm thinking the third game happens. Jeez. Oh my gosh. I don't know there's almost like too many possibilities. I'm struggling to come up with something because it's so...
I can share mine
so wide open.
Mine
Share
is
yours
pretty
first.
benign.
Something.
Mine is pretty benign. This is the one I think that's probably most likely to happen, and even this one I don't think is going to happen. But mine is just that Turgle joins the Mantis crew. I think it'd be funny.
I like that, yeah. Wait, what was that you were just telling me the other day about the night? What was the Night Sisters' true homeworld? It wasn't Dathomir. Am I getting that conflated with the...
No, you're thinking of the...
Yeah, you were saying that this wasn't the first time that there had been a story like this in a...
Oh, the Night Sisters, real-ish, sort of, like, the Night Sisters also come from Peridia, in a sense.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which you can't really do anything with because
Peridia, yeah, that doesn't
cross
really work.
galaxy
That doesn't
stuff.
really work. They... Oh my gosh. They go to... Marin goes to Wayland to try and use force cloning to repopulate Dathomir with Night Sisters.
Even though the whole base was destroyed?
Yeah, she's trying to track down
Scavenge the
traces, and
remnants?
she's trying to scavenge the remnants for traces and whatever she can find. I don't know. Look, it's Marin. It's Marin, bro. Anything is possible. Like she can like teleport and do whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants in the game, bro.
Wait.
Anything is possible.
We need the $1 billion question for this game. Will we fight the Zillow Beast?
That would be pretty sweet, actually. That I wouldn't mind that.
I have no idea how we defeat it, but will we fight the Zillow Beast? Because it's there.
I've got a question that pertains to the Zillow Beast coming up, actually. So
that's very funny. And the final one that I want you to offer an out of left field prediction for is Star Wars Starfighter coming to the theaters May 2027.
What do we know about Starfighter so far? This is the one that I know the least about.
Not a ton. Ryan Gosling is the main character. He's trying to escort, we think, his nephew, who's probably going to be like a teenager, across the galaxy. Some piloting stuff's going to be done, obviously. The main villains are going to be played by Matt Smith and Mia Goth, respectively. It's going into production soon, to be released in 2027 to coincide with the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Not a lot. They've kept it directed by Sean Levy, written by Jonathan Tropper, I think is his name. So not a whole ton. I think it's going to be pretty standalone, but it takes place 5 years. It takes place in 30. I think it takes place 3940 ABY, about 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker. So
5 years after the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah, sorry, I should have led with that.
The possibilities. Okay, first off, I think that Ryan Gosling's character is going to bleed out on a snowy staircase somewhere on Hoth. That's my first. That's my first.
I love how you went there immediately.
That's what I thought of. I thought of Ryan. I was like, this is gonna be like Drive in space. This is gonna be Fly. This movie should have been called Fly. No, but seriously, I think. Oh gosh. I
can go with my first if you need a little more time.
I think that there's going to be some sort of maybe not like apocalyptically dangerous, but some sort of unprecedented threat from a civilization whose technology and biology is completely different from everything we know.
Wait,
sort of like the Yuuzhan Vong.
I was gonna say, are you saying
there's going to be my prediction is that there could be some sort of,
or like the Grisk from the Thrawn trilogy.
There could be a Yuuzhan Vong like. There could be a Yuuzhan Vong like sort of coming from far away, not playing by the rules type of threat.
I'm gonna say you mean the Grift, not the Grift, the Grisk.
Something between the Grist and the Vong. Something like that.
Mine is batshit as well. Mine is Ryan Gosling's character is forced to flee from, insert bad guys here, whoever they are, because of his buried secrets from working with the Final Order. He was one of the cultists on Exegol who happened to survive. Ooh. Maybe he's had a change of heart, has a family, stuff like that now. Not has a family, but like finds out he has a sister or something like that, and he has to transport his nephew across the galaxy while being chased because he has a dark past working to secure a future for Palpatine. Again, it's not going to happen, but I think it'd be funny. Yeah. Final question, Jacob.
Final question. Okay, I'm not actually going to do the Zillow Beast question because it's like a profoundly stupid question. It was going to be like 3 Purgles, 100 Wampas, 10 Rancors, 1 Exegorth, 1 Zillow Beast. Pick 2 to defend you from the rest.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with something else, which is what is one like sort of theory crafted or fan theory idea that you have or that you heard from someone else that you'd love to get explored in a TV show, comic, whatever it is that you'd love to get explored or incorporated into a project. Maybe a what if you don't want to introduce it in a concrete way, maybe in like a visions. What's sort of a theory that you'd like to be explored?
So this is really just a backdoor pitch for the Acolyte season 2. I understand that, but how I want like exactly like what the hell, how the hell the twins were made in the Acolyte explored. Specifically, the idea that Darth Plagueis, specifically the theory that's been floating out there that I agree with, that Darth Plagueis somehow encountered the witches and kind of bastardized what they did into his own experimentations with creating life. And that's where he got like the interest from the Night Sister Rendok, but nobody knew that, because why would he ever tell anybody that?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's my answer, but it's a backdoor way of saying, yeah, make the Acolyte season 2. But anyway, what's yours?
So mine is, I would love to see something, I don't want to incorporate, like probably in a what if or visions or something, exploring the idea that a lot of Palpatine's machinations, the Death Star, the obsession with super weapons, were obviously that's an allegory for him being a Hitler-like figure who was also obsessed with wonder weapons, among other evil things that Palpatine's also obsessed with. It was in some ways about him foreseeing or having evidence of a Yuuzhan Vong invasion coming for the galaxy and trying to stop it. Now, I think this is
I really couldn't stand that in Legends.
Yeah,
honestly.
this is kind of a tricky one, because I think that I feel like, especially now, I can't stand the whole like Empire did nothing wrong bros, where I still see people and hear people in like 2025 being like, oh well, for most people the Empire made the galaxy a better place. No, it didn't, you fucking moron. That's what every fucking Star Wars story ever, and I'm gonna yell at this about this for a minute, every fucking Star Wars show ever that takes place in that, like every movie, every show, everything in the Empire's time frame goes out of its way to show how every single aspect of society is like made more miserable and dangerous by the Empire's presence. It literally does not matter who
Rebels
you are.
and Andor, you cannot make that case anymore. I
mean,
like, you couldn't make the case before.
I still see people like, saying that, and I'm like, you cannot be a real, like, are you a real human being with these these thoughts in your mind? You could make the case
before that, but Andor and Rebels was like the final nail in the coffin. Both those shows.
Even without Andor and Rebels, I don't.
Oh yeah, no. Even without, like, yeah, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that without Andor and Rebels you couldn't make that argument. I'm saying with Andor and Rebels, it's basically impossible to make that argument.
Yeah,
because the evidence is just so documented.
Yeah, I think before Andor and Rebels, you could say like have a little common sense, have a little like political awareness. Like this is not like detached from.
Yeah.
None of these movies at any point, post Lucas, are like detached from the political realities of the world that we live in. Their commentary. But now it's just like, do you even watch Star Wars? Like, how are you saying these things?
Come on, everybody. Yeah.
I think and I think that I would be interested in maybe a vision or a little like what if spin-off, little tidbit, sweet treat, rather than making it canon and giving fodder for the Empire did nothing wrong crowd, which is obviously
maybe here's what we can do.
The thing that I would hate to do.
Here's what we can do. We could say, so in the Aftermath trilogy of books, there was said to be a presence from beyond the galaxy, like a dark presence calling to Palpatine right before he died. Now, what that was supposed to be is still kind of unclear. I think at the time the book was written, it was supposed to be Snoke, because Chuck Wendig wasn't keyed into the fact that, or it hadn't been decided that Palpatine created Snoke. And then after that revelation came out, I'm like, oh, it's Exegol. But then the Darth Vader comics revealed that Palpatine had known about Exegol for dozens of years, so it can't be Exegol. Yeah. What if it was the Vong? What if the dark presence calling out to him was the Vong? Maybe he didn't know what. Maybe he doesn't know what it is. Maybe he is like no idea what to do about it, or something like that. But yeah, maybe that's a way you can make that work. But that there was the sentiment.
I know you're not a fan of this idea.
Yeah, it was a Legends thing, and it was like, okay, why are you saying this if not to like subtly kind of justify this? And I don't know where the idea of that idea came from in Legends, but wherever it did. It like Legends has some great stuff, and Legends has some really weird and bad stuff in it. And this one is I wouldn't quite categorize as bad, but I categorize as pretty weird and kind of unnecessary.
Yeah,
But
I will say I think there's absolutely a way. There's absolutely a way to play it, and I think it would be like pretty easy for any competent author or like screenwriter. It's pretty easy to like play this to where it's not at all like excusing or making Palpatine less evil. Yeah. But I also think that like a lot of audiences aren't ready for that and probably never will be at this point.
Yeah. And
like,
and there's a whole there's a whole thing, and I think that we've talked a lot about, and I didn't think we were going to. We talked a lot about the Yuuzhan Vong on this episode, way more than I thought we were going to.
Yeah.
In friends of the show, I know people who love the idea of the Vong, and I know people who hate the idea of the Vong. And I'm okay with them as long as we I think actually they'd be a good idea as long as we take the weird they ignore the Force thing out. I think that's stupid, and I think that's ridiculous. My thing, what you have to do with the Vong, and I think this would be interesting because what would have to be addressed, and I haven't read the New Jedi Order trilogy, not the trilogy, but the series. I'm not sure how well this is addressed in this series, but you have to address xenophobia in any story about the Vong. Because when an entire species invades a galaxy, you run the risk of saying, well, all of those people are like that, which could provide some pretty bad political allegory if we're really saying, well, an entire species is just warmonger and they're just warmongers and they don't respect anything but combat and stuff like that. That could be pretty gnarly as a political allegory. So what I think you have to do with that is you have to have maybe it does
very Tolkien-esque.
Maybe you have to have anti-Yuuzhan Vong sentiment pop up in the galaxy, but have the Jedi go, no, the Jedi be the first vanguard as, no, we're fighting these people because they wish to destroy us, but not all of them are evil of heart. They're just wrong. You have to have the Jedi on the front lines, not only defending the Republic and the galaxy, I assume the Republic, but the galaxy against the Yuuzhan Vong invaders, but you have to have the Jedi have the moral high ground, and if possible, give the Vong humanity, which I think is very tricky. And I think a lot of this was, give me a second. When was Vector Prime? Vector Prime, which was the first New Jedi Order novel, it was 99. And then the final one was, the final New Jedi Order book was, what was it? It was the Final Prophecy, which was 2003, I think. Or it was something like the Ultimate something. The Unifying Force was the last one, which was released in 2003. Okay. And why I bring this up is that, and I don't believe that, and obviously the Yuuzhan Vong, the New Jedi Order series, which encompasses the Yuuzhan Vong War, started before this happened, but I don't think the events of 9/11 and the post 9/11 surge of patriotism in America helped with a lot of the political themes in the New Jedi Order. I think with a lot of stuff, 9/11 changed a lot of American culture afterwards to be very suspicious of those who are not like us, are deemed not like us. And I think that I think the Yuuzhan Vong as a political allegory may have suffered because of that. But I think if we were to say, well, wait a second, we can't just say all Yuuzhan Vong bad. There has to be nuance there, while at the same time still keeping those the evildoers like Nominor and Shimbra and Savong Law and all those people from Legends. Not by, if you want to change the names, whatever, I don't care. But the idea of extragalactic invaders, entire army, all that kind of stuff, different beliefs and all that kind of stuff, I think is a genuinely fascinating idea. I think it's time for my final question. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we all know, and if you don't know, you should get on. If you're listening to this and you don't know about this platform, you should get on this platform, best social media platform of all time, Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd. What Star Wars characters would be most prolific if they had Letterboxd?
Oh man. Oh, that's a fun question. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I have a few characters. I have 5 characters written down. I think Rey would be a big Letterboxd person. I think the Grand Inquisitor. I think Cal Kestis. I think Mon Mothma. And from the High Republic, I think Reith Silas, who's been described as a bookworm and very kind of like doesn't want to face combat, but kind of has to step in the role when the Nihil start to invade and stuff like that. But all these people, like Rey, I think, is just so like passionate in learning about the galaxy around her and all that kind of stuff. The Grand Inquisitor turned to the dark side because of knowledge, so it makes sense like that he'd be very much into film. Cal just has to entertain himself sometimes. Same with Mon. Mon's like, I imagine Mon's just like, I worked an entire day in the Imperial Senate or working on this goddamn rebellion. I just need to cool down for a while. Like I can see her, I can maybe see that's one of the last things her and Perrin bonded over for dumb reasons, but still for reasons. Those are the people who I'm thinking would be most prolific of the Star Wars characters on Letterboxd.
Okay, first off, the first character that came to my mind is actually Maul. I feel like Maul would be like a big reviewer on Letterboxd. I can just imagine him like typing away every single day, like getting off every single thought in his head about every movie he's ever watched. I can just picture that for some reason. I think no, who else would be big on Letterboxd? Gosh. I think Ezra be one of those people who tries to write like funny, doesn't like star rate anything and just writes like short reviews of like inside jokes to like his 2 friends, and his only two friends that he follows on Letterboxd are Zeb and Chopper, and they all write like
I was gonna say Sabine, but yeah,
they all write like 3-word reviews. Oh, he follows Sabine on Letterboxd, but she doesn't follow him back because she doesn't use it. That's he follows her on Letterboxd. I feel like that's.
And then after Ezra,
there's no other way. If these characters somehow had Letterboxd and like we're watching our movies, there's no possible way any of that would not be what I just said, like in line with those characters. I'm gonna go with I think Hondo Ohnaka would be a big Letterboxder.
Interesting. After Ezra blasts off at the end of the Rebels finale, Sabine actually follows him back on Letterboxd.
Because now she doesn't get spammed with the notifications every time he reviews something. No, Hondo, and then I'll round out my list with, oh gosh, Maul, Ezra, Hondo. Somebody's like very like by the book, like right, like really trying to review.
Oh, Yord.
Maul. Yord.
I'm gonna go. Yord tonight,
dude. I'm thinking
incredibly niche meme right there, but yeah.
What was it? I think Dryden Voss. Dryden Voss.
Yeah, no, Dryden Voss actually.
Like he's the kind of guy. He looks like he would like look you in the eye and be like, "I'm a huge cinephile."
Oh yeah, no.
Movies like
Dryden Voss.
He wants to talk about like some like 1920s French movies with you. He knows he wants to talk
Dryden
about.
Voss. The more I think about it, the more Dryden Voss as a Letterboxd frequent makes a ton of sense. Just makes absolutely all the sense in the world. Yeah, no, you're right about Dryden Voss. You're just right about Dryden Voss. I think, though, that is going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. We got some great stuff today. We are going to be off for a few weeks. The next 2 weeks, we will not be releasing episodes of Star Wars in a Galaxy. That's a lie. It's actually just going to be 1 week. But still, the next week, there will be no episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. We will be back continuing season 22 of Star Wars in a Galaxy with special guest Brennan Marr. We will be watching The Honorable Ones and Shroud of Darkness with Brennan Marr from Page Turners They Were Not, friend of the show. And that will be coming out on September 19th. So we'll be off until then. But, it will be 2 weeks. It will be 2 weeks. Never mind. It'll be 2 weeks. Either way. But until then, you can follow us on BlueSky at inagalaxypod.bsky.social, Instagram at inagalaxypod. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Star Wars in the Galaxy. Epic Confrontations will be resuming sometime, hopefully mid to late September as well. You can follow me everywhere, linktr.ee/_OchiFan327. And you can listen to us everywhere you listen to your podcasts. And I think, until next time, I think that's it. May the force be with you always.
Always.